Okay, good morning, everyone. Hope you're having a good time. It's great to be here with my fellow panelists here and all of you this morning. Okay, so entrepreneurs, let me go back one here. Okay, so we're living in a time right now where we have the largest youth population in the world with 1.8 billion young people between the ages of 10 and 24. The situation we need to be concerned about here is that traditional jobs are becoming increasingly automated, and that's especially going to be the case in the development South. So in Africa, Southeast Asia, Latin America, and so on. So we're in a time right now where we need entrepreneurs on a scale that the world has never seen before to solve the hundreds of thousands of problems in the 21st century. So I want to give a briefing here on a program called Leap Hubs that Global Peace Foundation developed in Kenya over the past 3 years. So these are like leadership and entrepreneurship incubators in public high schools. It's just we're just like blown away with the unbelievable talent that's actually in public schools. So in Leap Hubs, students are mentored to actually develop and launch businesses and social enterprises. Right now, we have 120 teams across 24 schools in 12 counties in Kenya that are actually developing businesses and social enterprises. And right now, as we speak, 11 of these are launching or about to launch. So who takes part in Leap Hubs? It's a select group of students that have the drive, the capacity, the motivation to develop and start a new business or social enterprise. And trust me, these are in our public schools. These students are there in our schools. These are students that have great ideas. They have the leadership and teamwork competencies, the basis of those competencies to get this idea developed. They're driven to invest the time and energy to do it. And they also have the character and resilience or grit to overcome the many, many challenges that are involved in this. So where are Leap Hubs? Well, these are creative. It's a creative space in a public school. It can be a classroom that is actually transformed into a creative space with tables, whiteboards, you have laptops, there's faculty support, and also technology and tools that they need to develop, whether developing apps or whatever business they're doing, and also mentors, very important, from universities and also from technology partners. So let me give you some examples of some of the businesses that teams in Kenya have developed. So what you're looking at here is called a Blue Drive. These are students from My Forces Academy in Nairobi who came up with a prototype that allows you to transfer files from a flash drive to a smartphone using Bluetooth technology. So why did they do this? Because Wi-Fi, internet is not that available, right, in Africa. Also, when people buy smartphones, they can only afford to buy ones with very small amounts of storage, right? So this solves a real-world problem. And there's nothing like it on the market, right? No one has done this before. And they have done this. They've been featured on national TV in Kenya, speaking and explaining about how they developed this idea. Okay, here's another idea, right? It's called a paper charcoal briquette from Alliance High School in Kenya. It's an alternative source of fuel that is affordable. It's very easy to make. It's made out of clay and ash. and it is eco-friendly. And these students here, they've actually gone into rural areas in Kenya and have coached women in these local communities on how to make this fuel, this alternative fuel, right? Here's an example of a social enterprise from two students, a team of students from another school in Nairobi. It's called Don Paul Arts. What they did was that they identified struggling artists in Kenya and in Ghana that were creating like phenomenal art, but these artists were getting paid pittance, right, for their art from tourists on the street. So what they did was that they took high-definition photographs of the art and put it online. And the markup, they were able to mark up by a factor of 20 to 40 times what the artists were actually getting paid, on the street. And 70% of the sale goes to the artist, and 30% goes back to the social enterprise to develop the idea. One of their claims to fame was that last year, President Obama was visiting Kenya, and they brought a photograph of the first family, these students, to one of their artists in Nairobi, and they had them draw this, artistic rendition of the first family. And then they actually took that to the American embassy. The American embassy sent it to the White House. President Obama received it, and he sent actually a note, a letter back to the Leap Hub students. And it said this: "Thank you for your gift. Michelle and I want to know we are moved by your generosity." Here's another example from Mary Leakey High School. These students, in Kenya, when it's election time, people spend 8 hours waiting in line to vote. These students went to the election commission in Kenya and came up with an idea that citizens in Kenya can vote from their smartphones, where they get a unique identifier, and they can vote in minutes rather than spending 8 hours. So this idea is actually in development as we speak. So corporate supports, very important, this piece here. So we're working with a lot of companies like Intel. They provide tools where students can develop the apps to create, and other supports to create these businesses and social enterprises. Airtel provides internet access to the Leap Hub incubators in the schools. Cisco, we're deploying the Cisco Academy, which is an entrepreneurship program. Oracle is providing training on Java and other tools. Google is providing online safety, a program for our Leap Hub students. Samsung converted 3 schools to incubators. And we also work with IBM, who provided leadership development. And there's a lot more corporates who are coming on board in this. Also for exposure, the Leap Hub students participate in hackathons, boot camps, right, where they get exposure, training, mentorship from corporate partners, from universities, and from real entrepreneurs. Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya is called the Silicon Savannah of Africa, right? So it's filled with entrepreneurs. They have an iHub down there that's really stimulating entrepreneurship. One of our students here, the Blue Drive project I talked about earlier, they actually went to the Diamond Challenge competition in Africa, and they won that. And then they actually went to the United States to participate in the international competition. So let me talk a few minutes about the foundation for success. Oftentimes when you hear about entrepreneurship programs, all you hear about is, the entrepreneurship piece, the technology piece, and there is another component to this that's vitally important, and that is actually the leadership piece. So in our Leap Hubs, each team, we have 120 teams working on ideas right now, each one of them have to define their core values of their new business. They have to define their organizational culture, the transformative leadership approach they're going to take and how they deal with customers, clients, suppliers, and everybody else. And also they have to define right at the get-go their customer service responsibility to the world, how much they're going to give back. They think about this from the very, very beginning, from the get-go. When you look at the best companies in the world to work for, here are some of them across 14 industries, their organizational culture for success is defined by these qualities. So in our Leap Hubs, we have implemented a transformative leadership model, right? With these standards, character, creativity, purpose, relationships, learning that aligns with the great places to work around the world. And also the role of the leader in these startups, the leader as a role model, as a team builder, as a problem solver. This is such an essential piece of the success. Also, we have found that the Leap Hubs in these public schools has a positive collateral impact on the entire school. You know, this really has the eyes of the school on it, the principal, the leadership team, the faculty, but the other students as well. They see their peers doing incredible things within the very restricted educational system, right? It's not just in Kenya, it's around the world, and these guys are beating that and doing extraordinary things. So I'm really happy to announce that Leap Hubs is coming to the Philippines in 2017 after the Global Peace Convention. It'll be our first country in Asia. So we're really looking forward to this. We're lining up great partners, corporate partners. Also, we're speaking to the government, the Department of Education, Commission of Higher Education, the Office of Science and Technology, many others. Everyone is super excited about this. And as we get success here in the Philippines, we'll expand to other countries in Asia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tony Devine. Our last speaker is Ms. Josephine Gallia, the Director of Public Sector and Security, SAP Asia Private Limited.
Good day.